Hello, welcome to scr1tno knitting project. My name is Sharon and I'm coming to you from Surrey in the UK, where I live with my family, 3 cats and a dog. One of the cats I think is in with me. Maybe there she is, she's behind you. I can see her. I can see a ginger bottom sticking out behind my monitor. So one of the cats is in with me today, so if there's any ambient noise, that's probably what there is. Also, my family most of them are around, so that's also likely to be noisy. This is episode 86 and today is the 12th of March 2021. Welcome if you're a new viewer, welcome back if you're a returning viewer. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have picked up some more new subscribers, thank you very much. I think I'm edging towards the 800 subscribers now, which is really exciting. So thank you for joining me. This is my podcast about my crafty life, mainly knitting, and this week I think, other than one crochet project, it's all knitting. However, I have got weaving on the horizon, but I'll go into that in the very end in news from the knitting project. So let's go straight in and we'll start with admin. So admin, you'll find me as scr1tno on pretty much anywhere. Show notes for the podcast are down below, and any links that I link are also down there. That is the only place to find the show notes at the moment. The podcast does have a Ravelry group if you can use Ravelry. I have now got 2 lovely moderators, my lovely friend Katie and my lovely friend Ali have both volunteered to moderate for me. So I'm really grateful to them because I'm not as present in the Ravelry group as I should be, mainly because I work and work gets really busy. And I'm trying to keep on top of things like giveaways and the knit-alongs, etc. So I don't always have as much time to spend chatting as I would like, and I'd like to spend my entire time chatting with you if I'm honest. So we've currently got 2 knit-alongs going on at the moment. We've got the March stripy sock knit-along and we've got the square a day KAL. The square a day is where we are knitting a tiny bit of something on something bigger every day. All the rules and regs can be found in the Ravelry group, and I think on one of the podcasts. Oh yes, of course, yes there is, because there's a standalone about the square a day back at the beginning of January. If you search in my snippet playlist, there is all the rules and regs in a snippet on YouTube. There are a couple of new rules that I haven't got on there, which is you don't have to sew everything all together, because if you're doing like a crochet project, you won't necessarily know the order you want to put the squares until the end. But also I am allowing multiple small projects this year, because I know of at least one person who can't do a big project, would still like to do her squares but wants to make them into smaller projects, and that's absolutely fine. No problems with that at all. It's still, you made just the same 90 things. We have got a quilt going on, which is very exciting. Granny stripe blankets, also very exciting. We've got a knitted stripe blanket. Brilliant. So I'm really enjoying seeing the projects on that. And the other one is the stripy sock KAL. All the rules and regs for that are all over the place, so just double check them. I have got a highlight on my Instagram for that. There is rules and regs in the Ravelry group, and I'm fairly certain they're underneath the podcast as well. Not necessarily this one, but certainly one of them. This month's dyers are, off the top of my head, Desert Vista Dyeworks, Fab Funky Fibres, The Knitting Goddess, Regia and Austermann Step. I may have got them wrong, check down below, it does actually tell you what they are. So the end, that obviously wraps up at the end of the month. There is a open finished object thread on Ravelry. If you can't do Ravelry, then there is a hashtag which I will put down below, and in fact is below the video in the notes. On Instagram, please if you post on Instagram, post it as a post on your grid as a finished object, tag me in it, and then I can share it to my story and save it as a highlight. That way you get entered, because I'll enter everything I've put on my highlights into the drawer. If you've posted in both places, don't worry, I will filter you out. If you're using the diet of the month, you get 2 entries. I will also take that into account when I'm doing the tally up on the Instagram. And if you can't use Instagram, or you don't use Instagram and you can't use Ravelry, you may email me on scr1tno@outlook.com, and I will keep those as a to include in the numbers. And our lovely friend over there, who I'm not going to mention the name of, can pick a number. I think that's it. I think that's all for admin today. I can't think of anything else, except for the fact I'm going to try and do a podcast Zoom in April, and I will do sign up sheets for that as a Google form hopefully next week when I'm a bit quieter. It's been a bit busy this week, so I will get onto that. Those people that are still waiting for their certificates for their blankets, they are on their way. I will be getting those sorted as well. Right, that's it for admin. So for those of you that are new here, I didn't explain what the project is. Basically, I do a rolling rotation over 6 days of my whips, and I work on a different whip each day. This is twofold. One, because I am busier some days than others. So if they were to be on that same day of the week every week, they wouldn't get that much work done on them. And number two, because I get arthritis in my wrists and my fingers, working on different weights of yarns and needles and different techniques, I don't get too much pain, which is fab. So day one is socks, and let's start with the ones you've seen before as a hint. They are hanging out in my lovely bag that was a Christmas present from Kelly, who is the dyer behind Lay Family Yarn. We're knitting besties, because real life besties really, and these are the March scrappy socks. What a tangled mess. Right, so let's put that one down. So I have got, how far have I got? I've turned the heel on this one. So I've turned the heel. I've been doing 8 rows of each mini, and I mean, I like swinging ends, but that's even too many ends for me, so I won't be doing that again. I'm also experimenting with different types of rib. This is a crenulated rib. It's a broken rib. It's very pretty. So my my March socks, these are my March socks. My April socks, I will try and do a different one. I was getting mixed up with my KAL and this KAL then. So this is for the Rainbow Chronicles sock KAL. So I really want to get these finished by the end of March, so I need to kind of put some love into these socks. Now this one I did put some love into, and I don't quite know why I've got two. Did I not cut the other one off? I've got 2 balls of yarn that want to come out at the same time with this one. However, I don't know where the second ball is. Which one is that coming off? That's coming off of that one. Ah, mess. Big mess. You go back in there. Not quite sure why I've got 2. So I have turned the heel on this one, and because I am totally fed up with the 8 rows, I have gone into bigger colour blocks, and I'm just sticking my hand in and doing it totally randomly. That one I kind of tried to keep it in some vague order. I'm not doing that anymore. Lesson learned. I learned a lot of lessons on this sock. I learned don't try to do a pattern, because I've tried to do a twisted knit stitch at the top there, gave up on that to about there. I've learned don't do 8 rows because there's too many ends, even though as I said, I'm a willing end weaver, but not on something I have a deadline on. And don't try to colour manage it, just go for it. So with all that in mind, my April socks will be a lot more of a pleasure to knit, and I think this is why I've stalled on these, because I'm just like, no, I'm over these. So I need to get my bottom into gear and sort that out, and that is supposed to be in this needle cozy, which has been sitting on my desk since I worked on them, because I've obviously forgotten to put it on. I think I kind of just put them away in disgust, and also they were taking up all my knitting time this week. I think I'd only knit on these, so some projects have very little work on them, and that's not how I want the project to work. So, but I couldn't just knit these on sock day, otherwise I wouldn't get them done. So bit of a trade-off. I try and do some on those every day. However, that's not really the reason why I stalled on those. I stalled on those because there is another cast on. I am a squirrel with no self-control. There's one person who may be watching this will know that's that line. And this is hanging out in my Busy Pottering breakfast bag with a chicken on the back. And if you remember from last week, I showed you the lovely mini set that I got from Giddy Yarns, which was this one. So that's the one I haven't used yet. So let's take that out, come out for a minute. So it's the spring minis, and it's really pretty. That's the one I haven't used. And I've got that one, that one, ooh, that one, and that one. And I have made, I mean, we knew this was going to happen. If you're a long-term viewer of the podcast, you know this. But however, new viewers, I have a slight obsession with jelly roll socks. I love the jelly roll socks. I love how they look. I love how they wear. I just genuinely love the jelly roll socks. So this is my jelly roll in, oh, this is good. I have a saw outside and the coffee machine inside. I'm so sorry, guys. So yeah, this is how it's coming out. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. So I've just gone into, I am using this and this together for the middle stripe. So you do like a rib in the middle. Look how the heel turned out. Isn't that fun? I love it. So yeah, I'm really enjoying these. So I use that one for the top bit, and I'm using that one for the middle bit, and then I will use this one for the toe. And yeah, just love it. Or I may use that one for the toe, or I may use a plain, but I think I might, I'm toying with the idea of the green toe or the mixture toe. So not too sure yet, but oh, so pretty. So pretty. So yeah, I did go down that rabbit hole. Now I knit my socks on 2 circular needles. So I use 2.5mm licky needles. And yeah, knit them on 2 circulars. So this is the bag that's got my minis in from Helen's advent calendar, from Giddy Yarn's advent calendar, which I'm making fingerless mitts with. So I do need to get on with those at some point as well. And I've got a little needle cozy, which I think might have been down a Busy Pottering. I've certainly got a bag that's the same material as that, but it may be somebody else's. So that's going to go in there. Yeah, so got totally distracted with those, absolutely love them, and had to kind of stop knitting them so I would knit on my April socks, otherwise, my March socks even, otherwise I won't have them done until April. So that is day 1 socks. So day 2 is shawl day, and I am doing the Maytham shawl by Helen Stewart, which is this pattern here. I'm doing mine in multicolours, and I am using, actually it's just hanging out in a dandelion and double bag, and I am using Toad Hollow yarn, Toad Hollow NJ, in their Outlander set, which was called Lost in Time. And I think we decided this was Lollipop. I think I did Lollipop, that one. Very certain that's Lollipop. And this is how it's looking. So that's, it started off in this colour, this lovely blue, then went into the pink, then did some of the speckle, a lot of the purple, and now I'm going into the green. Now the green, these were all 50 gram skeins, and the green was 100 grams. So I've used the green for the edge because that's where the most yarn is being used. And I did from where my little waffle, my breakfast waffle, you see that? It's sitting there, where that's going. So I did all of that, and I'm now into a patterned part. So I've got multiple ring stitch markers in this project, so that I know not to go wrong. My key for lace knitting is definitely putting all the stitch markers so that you can see very quickly if you're on the wrong stitch, which is what I've done here. And oh, I love this, it's so nice. It's actually a really relaxing knit at the moment because because of the stitch markers and the pattern repeat is really simple. It's the same pattern front and back, so where there's like 4 stitches before you go into the little twisted stitches, on the right side there's, to start with, there's only 3 going back, because it's 4 at the beginning, then there's the twisted stitches, and then there's 3 until the next pattern repeat. So you just need to remember that, because a couple of times I went wrong. I was like, oh no, I'm on the wrong side, there's only 3, it's not 4. But otherwise it's really good telly knitting, and there is now 525 stitches on this, which is why I've only done, like, it looks like a tiny amount. Where's my little stitch marker gone? Where's my little stitch marker gone? This is the problem with this, it's so long now, and it's on quite a long needle as well. Okay, I have now lost my stitch marker, there it is. So it doesn't look like I've made a huge amount of progress, but believe me, for 525 stitches, that's pretty good progress. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of 525 stitches. It's quite a few stitches. So yeah, and I love it. I can't wait for it to be finished. Hopefully I may get it done for the spring. I have currently got blocking mats on my dining table in the lounge, so it'd be really useful if I could get this finished so I can block it while the mats are still on the table before I have to take the mats off, which will be around Easter Sunday if we're able to have dinner. Well, we'll have dinner. Whether we have it in there or whether we have it in the kitchen is another matter. But yeah, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Right, so that's my Maytham shawl, and I'm really pleased with the progress I made on that. And it's actually now my relaxing shawl, so I've really fallen in love with it again. So making the effort to get it out and kind of put it back into the rotation was definitely worth it, because I have really fallen for it in a big way. And as with quite a few of my projects, when I'm actually knitting on them, they're all I want to knit on. So I'll be like, oh, maybe tomorrow I'll just skip and knit on this. And it's like, no, because actually tomorrow's project you really want to knit on as well. And that's one of the good things about the knitting project. It keeps my interest, because I'm a squirrel with no self-control. Day 3 is garment day, and my current garment is hanging out in my Elderflower Stitches Snowdrop bag, and it's from her advent from 2020. And ooh, have I got everything? I'm so pleased with the progress I've made on this. I've done a good deal of progress on this one. So I am currently on, where am I? Am I on a sleeve? I think I'm on a sleeve. Yes, I'm on a sleeve. So I am decreasing for my sleeves. Now, if we remember, I stopped using the pattern that I started on with this jumper, because it's not a size inclusive pattern, and I don't want to promote something that isn't size inclusive, especially being a bigger lady myself. So I have stopped using that pattern, and I am now winging this nicely. So these sleeves are my own design. So they're nice and kind of big, because, you know, I haven't got small arms. And now I'm reducing down, and I'm reducing down like you would with a sock. And I'm doing, I think I did 12, every 12 stitches decrease, knit around, every 10 stitches decrease, knit around. And that's how it's looking. And you're getting this pretty pattern for the decreases. And then I'm on this one, I don't know if you can see, I am starting the rib. So I've decreased as far as I'm going to decrease, and now I'm ribbing. And yeah, I'm really pleased with how they're turning out. And that's as far as I did on that sleeve. And on the body, I did from my piece of lemon meringue pie, which is there. So I did that. And then this sleeve, I've started the ribbing, and then obviously that mini had finished, so that's where I am. So I've done all of that sleeve with that mini. I'm on that sleeve with that mini, so that would mean I should, yeah, I've got the body mini in here, so that will be the body mini. And what I do is I wind off one of these. So these are the minis. This is number 23, so that's not next. I think I was on number 20 maybe. So I wind off 5 grams for the first sleeve, I wind off 5 grams for the second sleeve, and what's remaining I put in the body until I finish the sleeves, and then it'll all go in the body. And this is how far I have got. I'm still not convinced I'm sticking with the neck. I may rework the neck because it might be too close for my liking, but it was okay when I tried it on. But that's what it's looking like. It's actually looking like a garment now. I think we can safely say it looks like a garment. I enjoy doing this fade effect with doing the sleeves at the same time, because the sleeves end up matching the body quite well. And when the sleeves are done, the sleeves are done. No finishing the body and then sleeve island, which I love. I love doing my sleeves as I go along. There's also less fabric to wrangle. But yeah, so that's really coming together. I'm hoping, bearing in mind that I think this, I'm hoping to get the sleeves finished by next podcast, by next week, and then hopefully, because I'll just be going round and round and round on the body, that'll be quite quick. So the next garment is looking likely. Don't know what the next garment's going to be at the moment. Haven't decided. I do know that I would like to do one though, so yeah, it's going to probably just be a plain raglan something or other. I have got quite a bit of Aran weight yarn, indie dyed yarn. I fancy doing the same method and knitting the Felix in that, because I don't think that'll take too long. But also we're going into weather where you're not going to really want a Aran weight sweater, hopefully. And I also want to knit a tee. I want to do the V-back tee, who I don't know who that's by, but when we do it, we'll go into that, because I have, you know, so much yarn. I also want to try and use some of this doubled in jumpers, using the same method as what I've used on this jumper here. So yeah, exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I've also got that blue there, here, who Laura, who is the Lonely Knitter and Crafter's Mum, kindly dyed for me and gifted to me, and I want to make a jumper with that. So I think that's going next, and I think I've got a skein of yarn I want to use for the yoke, but I need to talk to Laura first about that. I have got quite a, that's my sweaters quantities in there, so I have quite a few sweaters quantities that I can choose from. So much knitting for so little time. Right, so that's day 3, garment day. So day 4 is small items day, and I'm doing the Varia Mitt, which I think is how you say it, by Erica Hooser. This is a lovely owl. Now, if you watched last week's podcast, and if you haven't, if you just watched the bit with the mitts, you will see that I did a little bit of an explanation about colour work and how to choose contrasting yarns, and how to check through putting it through black and white, which I'm pleased to say actually worked when I watched it back. So we're going to carry on with that this week, and I'm going to show you what happens when it actually does work. But first of all, I'm just going to show you how far I've got, and then we will go into the technical bit. So I am knitting these on 2.5mm needles, and I am knitting my mitts on 2 circulars like I do my socks. I like that method because you don't get laddering up the side, and it does work really well with colour work. So I was there when you last saw me. This is one of Hannah from Corner of Crafts toilet roll stitch markers for 2020. So that's the palm of the mitt, and then that's going into the little owl pattern on the front. Now if I switch this to black and white, you can see clearly that, again, you can't see the blue in that bottom bit at all. That just looks like it could be one colour. However, look how much the white pops. So that's a good contrast yarn. So you can see if you put it into black and white, how well you can tell you've got a good contrast yarn. So I'm really pleased with that. That white is perfect with that brown. No issues there at all. The blue is not great with the brown, but equally I'm going to keep it because close up you can see the pattern, but you can't see it. It doesn't pop as much as it does on the pattern. Okay. I know what I meant. So yeah, so I'm hoping you enjoyed that little kind of tutorial of how to use a picture in black and white to tell whether your contrast yarn is actually going to contrast, or indeed in the case of my blue, blend. So we're going to go back to colour now. So yeah, so you can see with the blue on the camera it's not too bad. You can sort of see there's blue and brown there. You can't really see the pattern. If you have a look at the pattern on the pattern there, you can see that that does in actual fact really pop, and that's what it should look like. But I'm being lazy, I can't be bothered to pull it out, and I'm going to leave it. So my yarns, I'm going to need the ball bands. Right, we'll start off with the little mini is one I dyed. So I'm gonna, that's what I've used. And then the brown is from Gamer Crafting, and it's her Gear Wars, which I think was a club, and is a 75-25% sparkle, so it has actually got some sparkle in it. Don't know if the camera picks up the sparkle. I mean, it's difficult to see it in real life, so, but there is a tiny bit of sparkle. You can see it sparkling in the sock. And then I used Felt Fusion in her Hedgehog colourway, which is merino nylon. And is this colour here. It's predominantly white with some black speckles, but there is some tiny bits of brown in it, which I do worry are going to blend with my brown, but hopefully not anywhere significant, because there really isn't that much of it. But yeah, I'm loving knitting this. This is a fun project, but I love colour work. It's it's definitely my favourite knitting technique is colour work. However, it does take some time, so don't expect these to be done anytime soon, but I'm enjoying working on them. So that's my Varia mitts, and I should say it's hanging out in my Craft House Magic Valentine's bag. I love this bag. And yeah, that's day 4, small items day. So day 4 is Mystery Blanket Day, and that's hanging out in my Bags by Awesome Granny Swan Lake bag. I love this bag. Now the Mystery Blanket is a blanket club that is run by Debbie Abrahams. This happens to be 2019's and is called Winter Wonderland. It is no longer a mystery. There are lots of finished blankets. Mine is not one of them. And I'm on, so it's knit in strips. Ooh. And you get a set of squares each month to build your strips up, but because I've it's obviously no longer 2019, I'm knitting mine in one after another so that I get complete strips, and then I can block them and attach them. And I'm currently on this pattern here, which is taking me far longer than it should do. I have to say that I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the fact that that owl, I really should have that on the mitts pattern, shouldn't I? But I don't need to do a ring stitch marker. Oh, tangent. So I was there last week when you saw this, and now I'm here. It shouldn't take me as long as this is taking me. I'm not finding the rows intuitive at all, and it's patterning backwards and forwards, so it's patterning on both sides. It looks simple, but the moss stitchy bits are just, they're really not. And it's not like it's, if you've got a knit on one side it's going to be a purl on the other or anything like that, because it's not, the pattern changes. And yeah, I'm struggling with this square, and I thought this would be a breeze. I figured I'd get that done in one sitting. I haven't got it done in 2 sittings now. So yeah, I really need to, I was going to say I really need to get on with it. I spent all day yesterday knitting on that, and that's as far as I got. It's not the cables aren't complicated at all. They're an 8 split cable, so they're easy. But it's just the, yeah, maybe when I get a bit further up it'll get more intuitive, but at the moment it's really not. Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying it, but because apart from anything else, this blanket has got some of my favourite thing, which is colour work. Look at that. Oh, look at those trees. You can really see their trees there, can't you? And then we've got heart interruption. So yeah, it's got colour work, and I love colour work so much. Oh, so pretty. So that is, my family are on it today. That's the coffee machine. Again, they're obviously really needing to caffeinate. Yeah. Yeah, I really like this. But yeah, I will get through this square eventually. I'm sorry, you're just seeing the same thing over and over. This yarn's nice though. The yarn is, it's all done with Rowan yarn, and this is Soft Jack DK, and it's kind of what would you call that? Woven yarn? It's, can you see it's kind of a tube? Could you focus on the yarn, not my finger? That would be good. Yeah, it's sort of a tube. So that's kind of cool. It's a pretty colour too. Right, so that's day 5, Mystery Blanket Day. So day 6 is Blanket Day, and I'm alternating between my Friendship Crochet Blanket and my Habitation throw, my Woolly Goodness Habitation throw, of which I have a small picture because I didn't print out the large picture. And I am doing this in the mini sets, the scrappy mini sets I am getting each month from Woolly Goodness, and this is the January one. So I'm trying to put them in order, so as you can see I'm getting there through January, and I love this project. This is officially the project I do not want to put down, and I'm loving how these colours are playing. So this is the start. So this was her Colours of the Month Club colours for January, and this is the scrappy box. I realised afterwards I should probably have done them the other way around, but hey, never mind. This is happening this way round now, and I do absolutely love this. Oh, so much fun to knit. It's colours, I love that colour there, so pretty. It's going to be a really fun, pretty blanket when it's done. Super soft. I've got the sparkle base, so it's sparkly too, and it's just gorgeous. Now, I was there last week when I showed you, so I'm there now, and yeah, I love this. I would happily, if I was on a desert island, could only knit one project, be perfectly happy as long as I could get Jenny's minis every month. So there'd have to be a caveat that, you know, they were dropped in by carrier pigeon. Oh dear, it's going to be a silly podcast this week, isn't it? So yeah, that's my day 6 scrappy project, which is in fact a habitation throw, and it's living in this lovely sheepy bucket that I got from Kelly as a birthday present last year. But yeah, so that's day 6, Blanket Day. Next up is my entry for the Square a Day Cal, and that is hanging out in my lovely bag from Busy Pottering for Seaside bag, and also in my lovely bag from Craft House Magic, which is this autumn bag. And this is kind of my working bag. That bag's got the blanket in, and then this bag has got the bits and pieces in I need to make my squares. Now I am crocheting this, and I'm doing a crochet square every morning. I'm currently using minis from a Homespun House. Well, that one is, I don't know who that's from, but I'm doing the red and the green. The idea is these colours are Christmas themed, or my idea of Christmas themed anyway. I have a very traditional Christmas, so it's very much reds, greens, golds, and icy colours. So there's some icy blues and pinks in there too. And they're the ones I did this week. So starting with my little bird, that was from Jules, So Sweet Violet. That is a chick from Hannah of the Corner of Craft. That is some little pom-poms, that was also Jules, So Sweet Violet. That is a bunny from Hannah of Corner of Craft. That is a strawberry from Hannah of Corner of Craft. That I think was from Sarah, who's Eco Dog. Eco Scruffy Dog. And I'll be honest and say, no clue. No clue who that final one was. Yeah, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of the four of the green, and 1, 2, 3 of the pink. So I need to do 1 more green, 2 more pink, and then that stripe will be ready. Strip even. I always say stripe. Strip will be ready to sew on to the main blanket. And to attach it, I use this lovely yarn, which is from Helen of Yarn Tantetherer. That's my square a day. It's not wildly exciting at the moment, but I'm really enjoying just crocheting a square of a morning, and it doesn't take quite so long as it does to knit a square, so I'm gaining a little bit of time and still being able to do it. So yeah, that's it for the knitting content for this week. So happy mail. There was very nearly no happy mail this week, which is unheard of for me, isn't it? However, my lovely friend Kelly came to the rescue, and the May minis have arrived, which is green for May, and these are them. They're not it's not a surprise or anything. They were on her website, so I feel happy I can show them, but oh, they're so pretty. I love these colour greens. Absolutely love them. So this is the lovely Kelly Who's Lay Family Yarn, and this is part of the Rainbow Chronicles Club, which are the socks I'm making. So these are May minis. And the problem with getting them so early is I want to cast them on straight away. I have to sit there and look at them for, you know, a whole month, almost a month and a half now, before I can cast them on. But at least I know I've got them, and I'm very, very pleased with that. So thank you, Kelly, for giving me something for the happy mail section. It's like, oops. Mind you, I did have a lot last week, so I might have to try and stagger it, I think. Oh, so that's happy mail. I have nothing else for the making section of the podcast this week, so we're going to go straight into news from the knitting project, which is where I just chat in general about whatever. Number one is I have been bitten by the weaving bug, and if you've watched the podcast before, you know I bought a loom 2 years ago, and I've been scared stiff of it ever since and not used it. But I've watched a few tutorials. I've got a lovely friend who is supporting me in using it. There's Sophie from the Spring Sew Fake, and Kelly from Lay Family Yarn. Both of them are good supporters of using the loom. The bag I showed you that got the socks in, Kelly wove the material for that bag. So I want to bite the bullet and do some weaving. However, have hit a small problem. I've got an Ashford rigid head-all loom, 16-inch. The warping pole's bracket has disappeared, and I have also misplaced the shuttle, the pickup sticks, and the hook. I'm thinking that all these things are together somewhere. However, bearing in mind I have just gutted my craft room and moved it down here, you would have thought I would have found it. I've now run out of places to look, which says to me it's somewhere really silly, unfortunately. So I've ordered a new shuttle, new pickup sticks, and a new hook. I haven't, however, ordered a new bracket because I didn't realise the bracket was missing until this morning. So I'm thinking I may have to try some and clamp it with something else. I have actually got a G clamp, and I think actually that would work. I think I can clamp to the wood of the bracket and then clamp to the table. So I think that actually would work. But yeah, watch this space. If I get chance at the weekend, I want to try warping it with a Shapies, well, I've got quite a few of those. I think that would make quite a good, it's actually part cotton as well, so I don't know if they might make tea towels, but I certainly want to have a go at making something, weaving something. So that's exciting, looking forward to that. Mother's Day here in the UK on Sunday. I'm having a Zoom Mother's Day. Don't know what the girls have got planned. Could be fun. And then next week I have a difficult work week, I'll be honest. I'm not looking forward to it. It's going to be horrible, and we have a few issues that have all come to the head at the same time and needs to be sorted out, and I hate doing stuff like that. I really, really hate doing stuff like that, and it's a shame it's next week because it's kind of taking the edge off Mother's Day, because obviously I'm so worried about next week. Yeah. Nothing personally wrong with my working life, it's just something we have to sort out. Yeah, not looking forward to next week. So there may not be a podcast next Sunday. If my week has been truly horrible, it might bleed into Friday, which is my podcast day. And I learnt last week that if I don't get it edited on Friday, I could still be editing on Sunday morning, and I don't want that to happen. So just be aware there may not be one next week, and if there's not, don't panic. Everything's fine. I'm just taking a week off because work's been horrible. Girls are all fine. One of the girls is having a few issues, but we're working through it, and she just needs her mummy at the moment, which is kind of cute. It's nice to be needed again. For those of you who don't know, I have 3 grown-up daughters, and they're all in relationships, and they all from time to time have issues, and one of them is just going through one of those times at the moment. My eldest has moved out. She has her own flat with her other half. My youngest and my middle one are still here, and yeah, they're fine though, bless them. It's just having to be a mum for a while, which is, it's okay. Quite enjoy that. Haven't quite got empty nest syndrome yet, but I can see them all flying this year, so I just go more yarn storage. I'm really going to miss them, but I haven't spoken to my eldest much this week because she's got a lot on at work too, and it's just like, okay. So I'm looking forward to speaking to her Sunday. So I'm also hoping to do some yarn dyeing this weekend, but I think maybe one thing at a time, and if I'm going to do the warping and play with my loom, maybe the yarn dyeing should wait till next weekend. And also I could do with the weather being better, because I'm not dyeing in the house because I made so much mess that I decided that I would do that in the shed. I don't even want to do it in the shed. I'd like to do it on the workbench outside the shed. But kind of do it down in the shed. So I need some decent weather, and at the moment this week in the UK it's been very wet and very windy, but it has held off whilst I've done the podcast, so that's good. However, it's getting very dark, so I'm thinking any minute now I'm going to have a downpour, and so far it's hit the window that's behind you, so it's been really noisy. So I'm going to bring this up to a close before that happens. So thank you so much for joining me this week. Take care, and I will see you next week. my fluff stuff, and I'm actually not looking for fluff. I am looking for the accessories for my loom, but I doubt they're in here. I have got a few bits and pieces in here. That was a 3D printed bobbin for my spinning wheel that my boss tried to make me. See, he can be sweet up sometimes. It doesn't work, but I didn't tell him that. I have a niddy noddy in here. That can come out. That doesn't need to live in here, but that actually is to do with spinning, not to do with weaving. So much lovely fluff in here. That's a Shawl and Crafts. I think that's a Star Wars one. I think I've got two of those actually. Maybe that's the Star Wars one, or maybe that's why I've got two of them. That could also be the case. That was a swatch that I knitted up from Hedgerow Yarns, and she sent me some fibre that she dyed, which is really pretty. I'm kind of regretting doing this, but okay. Beautiful, isn't it? I like that one. That's so pretty. Sorry about the noise of the dishwasher in the background. I'd started doing this and thought, oh, actually this would be quite a useful thing to stick on the end of my podcast. Going through my fibre stash. Oh, what's this? Okay. Useful for icons. Have you had anybody else French knit when they were young girls? It was my version of knitting. My mum used to give me all the leftovers. That is some of my hand spun. I think I'm going to have to put you down and have a proper look through this. I haven't got my tripod with me, otherwise I'd stick you on my tripod.